Government expenditure. Government expenditure can be described as the total money spent by the government in the economy, which includes public consumption and public investment. Government expenditure can be classified into two types, which are operating and development expenditure. Operating expenditure refers to expenditure located for recurrent activities, also known as expenses of administering government departments, for instance salary and debt service charges. While development expenditure described as the capital and non-recurrent expenditure is more of investment expenditure for infrastructure and facilities and information development. The figure represents the total spending by the Malaysian government. For 2022, the total expenditure is 332.1 billion ringgit Malaysia. These expenses have been separated into 5 sectors, which is social, economic, security, general admin and others. The figure shows the total operating expenditure allocated for the year 2021 and 2022 from Fiscal Outlook. We can observe that the social sector accounts for the most significant portion of the OE, and general administration is the least portion of OE for both years. It can also be observed that the top 3 components that the government will spend the most are emoluments, supplies and service debt charges. We move on to the development expenditure. Based on the figure shown, we can see that total development expenditure in 2022 is 75.6 billion ringgit, which is higher than 2021. It can also be observed that the economic sector is the largest portion and the most significant sector of development expenditure. From the extracted data, this video aims to show you 4 issues together with the solution and the challenges. The first issue is emoluments and retirement charges. Fiscal Outlook 2022 reported that more than 60% of every ringgit generated is used to pay these 2 large amounts, which are overhead type expenses that must be paid even no goods are produced. As can be observed from the figures, the government's total emoluments funded in 2022 will be up by nearly 44% when compared to 2012. The direct implication is that government's financial burden increased year after year. The Minister of Finance too, Datuk Seri Johari Ghani, has been preaching about the unsustainable cost of the civil sector since 2017. However, many officials at all levels of government are hesitant to discuss this subject for fear of being estranged by public servants. We should also take into account that the overall revenue of the gross domestic product will be eaten up by emolument expenses, as the higher the percentage, the more revenue will be consumed by emoluments expenses. As a matter of fact, in 2017, Malaysia reported the ratio of 1 civil servant to the population was 1/19. This is one of the lowest ratio of civil servants to the population around the globe. Therefore, we have highlighted a few solutions for dealing with this problem. Firstly, the implementation of the privatization policy of 1983, which was established by the 4th Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Dr. Mahathir bin Mohamad. The primary objective of this policy is to reduce the financial and administrative burden of the government. It was effectively proven that privatization helped the government save about 154 billion in capital expenditure and 7.7 billion in operating expenditure during the period from 1983 to 2005. Although privatization helped to reduce financial burden, it also led to the potential loss of jobs. Human Resource Online reported that the total number of jobs in the private sector fell by 15,000 to 8,457 in quarter 4. We move on to the second issue, which is debt service charges. The objective of federal revenue is to run government operation and expenditures. However, the total revenue collected is insufficient to pay all government expenditures. Thus, the government must seek additional funds through debt issuance. In 2012, total expenditures for debt service charges were only 19.5 million, but after 10 years, the slope has been increasing gradually. 2019, even though the nation had succeeded in lowering the percentage, it had risen to 17.8%. This is because the COVID-19 outbreak that happened throughout the world. According to Malaysia Fiscal Outlook 2022, the large amount of debt service charges in 2021 is due to the higher financial needs for development expenditure and COVID-19 related expenses. Besides, the growth of federal debt is higher than the growth of federal revenue. The rating of debt to GDP will increase and the country must deal with bigger risks. One of the solutions that have been implemented by the federal government is the introduction of the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which will secure fiscal governance and medium-term sustainability, improve governance, support macroeconomic stability, and polish up the accountability and transparency of the country's fiscal management. Looking at other nation, India for example, suffered a big financial crisis around the year 2000, with debt sustainability becoming a major concern. Therefore, for future fiscal consolidation, the government then implemented fiscal responsibility and budget management. However, the authorities' medium-term deficit aim is not completely operationalized in the yearly budget process, which might weaken its validity in the absence of a complete medium-term macro framework. We move on to the third point, which is trade and industry. The allocation for trade and industry for 3 years back had decreased on the negative growth rate in the government expenditure. The allocation for this sector is not channeled towards programs that will really increase productivity and the efficiency of trading and industrial development. The allocation of trade and industry expenses should be relatively higher because of the booming rate of entrepreneurship in Malaysia compared to the past 20 to 30 years. So the question is, what are the solutions for this problem? In order to achieve long-term economic growth, additional allocations such as Industry Forward had been introduced by the government to assist small and medium businesses, especially domestic industries. Moreover, it can develop and implement policies in the areas of investment, trade and industry. In response to the fourth industrial revolution, the Industry Forward National Policy on Industry 4.0 was launched on 31st October 2018 to drive digital transformation of the manufacturing and related service sectors in Malaysia, with the targeted outcome to have higher contribution from manufacturing sector, more high value-added products and continuing foreign direct investment (FDIs). However, the SME have low digital adoption because their manufacturing method still lacks knowledge and skills from elements of 4IR such as Big Data and Internet of Things. Instead, most of Malaysia's manufacturing sector are remain at the same level in terms of industrial revolution, which are between Industry 2.0 and 3.0. Last but not least, we move on to the next point of our video, which is environment. The trend for environmental expenditures has fluctuated from 2016 to 2022. The biggest allocation is in 2016 with an amount of 2.3 million, whereas the smallest proportion is recorded in 2020 with only disbursement amounting to 1.3 million. This reduction is due to impact of COVID-19. As reported in the Green Future Index by MIT Technology Review, Malaysia will be included with the 16 other countries as a country that will be left behind in the green future through their lack of progress and commitment in developing a modern, clean and innovative economy. This news certainly divulged about the level of improvement that has happened in Malaysia and how the country still has a long way to go in order to accomplish its 12 Malaysian plan of implementing the green economy model to ensure sustainable growth and environmental ecosystem resilience. Therefore, in proposing a progressive solution, we can study from a country that already has a good governance in improving and sustaining the green economy model, that is Singapore, that has been listed in 29th place in the Green Future Index. Moreover, the government also includes the food supply issues and adopting a circular economy, which is to reduce, reuse, recycle and refurbish in building a resilience and sustainable living of the people. However, as reported by the Utusan Malaysia News, the fact that our country is more concerned about economic development than tackling environmental issues has created limitation in implementing effective solutions. We have finally arrived to the conclusion of our lesson today. In a nutshell, it can be said that government expenditure is vital in an economy as it contributes to the advancement of a country's development in various industries. Therefore, precise planning and budgeting is critical to economic growth, and every decision made by the Malaysian government will hopefully benefit the whole nation for the betterment of quality of living and ensure sustainability of Malaysia's economic prosperity.